Hi, Sharad. Thank you so much for making the time again, and welcome to a fresh interview at Tech Circle.
Thank you, Supriya. My pleasure. In phase one, we may not actually merge the entities because obviously some are licensed companies and some are non-licensed companies. But there will be a virtual organization structure that will span across these multiple companies, right? So there will be a group level CEO, which has been, I'm the CEO designate. There will be a group CFO, there will be a group sales head, etc., etc. So that's the intent. The real benefit of this is that we want to, earlier when we used to go to clients, we appeared as three separate companies. So it was in silos. So very often what happens is a client not only wants network services, but also wants data center and cloud and also wants system integration. Now we approach the client with three different sales managers. We approach in silos, and obviously it's not a very good experience for the client. And also from our winnability perspective, we obviously get only part of the business and not the entire business. So it was really something that our clients advised us. An entity listened to the client's advice worldwide and embarked on this journey. Obviously, there are two main advantages. One is we can address our clients better. So that's on the offense side. And on the defense side, it's obviously we can consolidate costs. You don't have to have three times the overheads, right? So you have the back-end costs can be now spread, more efficient. And therefore, it was actually a no-brainer. It obviously took some time to implement because, there were certain guidelines and best practices that had to be followed. Different companies had different systems, so those systems needed to be integrated. And also there were different policies, whether HR policies or other policies. So obviously that required a deep amount of planning, and therefore we took this period of time. Even now, when we've announced it, we will finalize the organization structure in the month of Jan. We'll do the transition period from Jan to March, and then from next year, it will be completely organized as one company. Actually, from Jan itself, it will work as one company, but we'll obviously have a 3-month transition period. There may be parallel systems running for some time. Hopefully, the good thing is we'll have a unified organization structure definitely, by 31st Jan. So once that is in place, then there may be some fine tuning left, but I'm pretty confident I can achieve in that 1 quarter. And of course, there may be something we decide we will put it, off for later, as you said. Like for example, systems may be done the last. We may have to use two parallel systems in the interim. But I'm not too worried about that. I think. See, the good thing in our case is that since 2012, we've been working closely with the other two companies. And, we actually integrated, while we didn't announce it, but Entity NetMagic and Entity Communications India was actually integrated a couple of years back, right? So that went up very smoothly. So we have a lot of learning with that, because we did that smoothly, and it actually was it actually showed results. So Entity Communications India revenue has really grown nicely. And we were able to offer to jointly work together and create, as one team and create the SD-WAN offering that we took to market 2 years back. And so we are pretty confident. Also with Dimension Data, we were working very closely. So erstwhile Dimension Data, which is now Entity India Limited, we were working very closely. We were doing joint projects. So the teams kind of got to know each other in the last few years. And so it's not a completely alien integration. At the end of the day, we are part of the same family, right? So it's not two different companies coming together. It's not like a Vodafone Idea or a Western Digital and SanDisk. I see a lot of the Indian IT players that you have are not really focused so much on India. They have a small practice in India, but 90+% of the revenue, or maybe 95% of the revenue, is overseas, right? So whether it's Infosys, Wipro, etc. Maybe Wipro still has a reasonable domestic focus as well, but a lot of the players have mainly internet. I believe we'll be either the second or third largest. I think IBM and Entity will probably be the two largest players now after this consolidation for in-country managed IT services. Right, so we'll probably be the second largest. I'm talking about revenue from Indian clients, revenue from domestic clients. It could be international firms that have Indian operations or domestic Indian companies. So if you take revenues from them, my gut feel will be in the top 3. I don't know whether it'll be second or third. I believe IBM will probably be number 1, but I think we'll be in the top 2 or 3. Because it's a very significant revenue, because all our revenue is all from no client who wants to host in the US will host in India, right? So any global client, when they host with us in India, they will be targeting the Indian audience. So we do have multinational revenue, but it is targeted at the Indian audience. And so whether it's in network, whether it's in hosting, whether it's in managed services, whether it's in system integration, in any of these areas, it's all domestic revenue. And so I think we will now become, with the combination, we'll now become one of the largest players in the country. We are targeting a growth of at least 20% year on year for the next 3 years. A CAGR of around 20%, close to 20% in the next 3 years. If you compare India with respect to some of the other countries, I think it's the sixth largest country in the world in data center footprint. It is the fastest growing company in Asia. I think 451 Research, I think, estimates almost a 23% year on year growth. And also, if you look at the per capita usage, if I were to take the total megawatts in terms of the population of the country and a per capita usage, I think we have 1/6 that of China. And if you see the growth in China, you don't even look at the US. Virginia is the largest market in the world. Virginia alone is larger than whole of India. But even if you look at China's growth, right, we are nowhere close to China. So I think there is a huge upside in growth for the data center market. And therefore, I do believe now if you look at the demand, right, there are obviously there's large demand from the domestic Indian enterprises. There's also a lot of global multinationals looking to set up data centers in India, data centers infrastructure in India because of the data localization laws that are likely to be passed soon. And then there is, of course, everything is moving to the cloud. So a lot of OTT players, a lot of cloud infrastructure moving to India and either setting up their own data centers or outsourcing to third parties like us. So there's growth all around. And of course, the government are also adopting cloud, both at the central level and as well as at the state level, has also spurred demand. So I think from an overall demand perspective, I think the demand is very robust. Will everybody succeed? Multiple players have thrown their hats into this fray. I think for some time there will be some pricing pressure, in my opinion, because obviously if there are 10 new data centers coming in a city or 6 new data centers coming in, there will be competition, there will be some pricing pressure. I do believe that there will be a consolidation in about 4 or 5 years from now, because while the demand is huge, there will be the data center is a very capital intensive business. So we set up each data center that we set up is the total capital expense in land, building, and infrastructure is more than $100 million. And we can't have a situation where the data center goes empty or the utilization is less, right? Because that obviously we can't invest and then not have the returns. So there will be some consolidation, in my opinion, because the really large hyperscale clients are limited and they'll probably work with 3 or 4 partners each. And therefore, I don't believe there could be a possibility that if somebody doesn't execute well or is not large enough, doesn't have deep pockets enough, that they may end up setting up a good infrastructure, but not necessarily attracting some of the clients who want to make sure that you are there for the next 10, 20, 30 years, right? Because it's a long-term association with the client. Much to the disappointment of a lot of my Bangalorean friends, the data center capital of India is undisputably Bombay because of 2 reasons. The 2 lifelines of a data center are power and fiber. So Bombay has the best power in the country. Bangalore loses power once a week at least, right? For an hour or 2 hours. Whereas Bombay, you don't lose power in like a year, you lose power for other than the October 12th incident, which was a unfortunate event, once in 10, 15 year event, but otherwise you don't lose power for more than half an hour a year in Bombay. So power being the most reliable, that is why data centers prefer to locate in Bombay, even though the real estate is more expensive. The second reason is Bombay has the best connectivity. So not only local connectivity within Bombay, but Bombay has international landing points. So many cable systems land in Bombay. So international connectivity is also the most cost effective from Bombay. And the last but not the least is the financial capital. So a lot of local business. So it's always good to have a city where not only you have good, your 2 lifelines, which is power and connectivity, are good, but also you have a lot of local demand. So a lot of corporate headquarters are in Bombay, and so there's a lot of demand. So actually, Mumbai is the number one, in terms of the data center market, almost 1/3 of the data center market of the country is anywhere from 30 to 40% of the market is in Bombay. Bangalore is also very good. Bangalore, we find Bangalore to be our second largest market because of a lot of demand from IT-enabled services companies. And another good market is Chennai, because Chennai has another landing point. And then there is the north. So we use Noida and Greater Noida for that, because that's where the power is. We found in the NCR region, the best power was in that area, and therefore we've set up data centers there. The other two cities where we've seen good development of data centers, one is Hyderabad and one is Pune. Bangalore is best from a seismic zone perspective. Bangalore seismic zone is zone 2, whereas Bombay is zone 3. And therefore, we use Bangalore a lot for disaster recovery. So a lot of our clients, they put their primary site with us in Bombay, and a lot of our clients use our... so we see Bangalore adoption for two reasons. One is disaster recovery, and second is IT-enabled services companies that are headquartered in Bangalore would like to have a data center close to them so that their engineers can reach there if required, and also they can have a fat pipe to their corporate headquarters to do their simulations, etc. And therefore, we see a lot of IT-enabled services companies prefer Bangalore. I think it has grown very positively. I think initially I think there was a lot of fear from a security perspective. That's all gone. You see now even banks adopt not only third-party data centers, but also some of their applications they put on the cloud. So I think that's one very positive. I think, I think the pandemic, if anything else, right, has also helped in accelerating demand, because a lot of enterprises, I know of many customers who had small setups in their own private setups, right? They have their own office and they had a small server room and they had their own setups, and then the office buildings were shut because of the pandemic. They found it difficult to work, and so they moved to cloud or they moved to data centers. So I think, in general, right, I think the adoption of IT obviously accelerated in the pandemic, but even otherwise has only matured over the period of time. There are certain things that we've done right from the beginning, right, and we've not had to go through some legacy process. So yes, in some areas we're still behind, but I think over the last 20 years, I've seen in front of my own eyes how it was so difficult to convince enterprise clients to even outsource to an IT player in India, right? And now how they're so comfortable, not only using that, but also using cloud, using hybrid cloud, etc. So it's pretty amazing, actually.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Supriya. My pleasure.
Yeah.